Just a quick legal disclaimer, I did get this as a review sample with the only expectation that I make a video on it. And this is the Silverstone LSB02-E multifunction addressable RGB control box with remote. This is compatible with ARGB devices that run off of 5 volts. And there's some specifications on the back here, along with what it includes for cables. And on the inside, got the cables, the control module, some documentation, a remote, and they also included some little adhesive Velcro mounts, which I thought was a really nice touch. And here's the control box. It has various ports. Those are for the RGB, temperature probe, power in, and then this for the on-off controls and your fan connectors. The remote it comes with is pretty standard remote for these kinds of devices. There's a pull tab you need to remove to connect the battery, and if the battery does die, it uses just your standard CMOS battery. This one's actually CR2025. I believe you could fit a CR2032 in there though, to be honest, because there's a little bit of extra space. Interesting thing about this remote is it doesn't appear to be infrared, to the best of my knowledge, because usually infrared remotes, it's kind of a purplish light that you see. But this, when you push a button, it's red. And it's not red just to the camera, but it's red to your eyes. So it's visible light that's putting out, which is interesting. So I'm not quite sure how that's going to work yet with the box inside the case, but that will be later in this review. So this is the cable for the power control, and basically it's pulling some standby power from your USB header to power the box, the functionality like with the remote and stuff, and then it's passing through the power switch, so you can still use the power switch on the case or the remote control box. Here's the power input for the box. I am a little disappointed with this. There's two things I don't like about it. It's not keyed in a way that stops you from plugging in the wrong spots. These are the fan headers. You could accidentally plug it into the fan header, and this isn't labeled. So you're going to want to be very careful about that. I don't know what would happen if you were to plug it in one of the fan headers, because I'm not going to find out and destroy the box, but you will want to be certain to plug it into the correct spot. The other thing that's a little bit bummer about this is it uses a 4-pin Molex connector instead of SATA, which may or may not be a problem depending on what power supply you're running on. A lot of power supplies still have these connectors because they're still common. It's just I would have liked to see it be a SATA power connector. But yeah, and it is a nice long cable. I'll unroll it here. So you shouldn't have to worry too much about having reach issues. It's also very beefy. This is compared to like what a normal fan cable would be. It's pretty beefy copper wires. I don't believe it's labeled, but I would speculate from how it feels, at minimum it's 20 gauge. There's a good possibility it's actually 18 though. And these are the RGB cables. So they have a weird little split because one end obviously goes in the box and it has two different styles of connectors for your RGB. And here's the temperature probe. It's also nice and long. and then it has a little bit on the end that you will want to stick somewhere that gets hot, like a VRM, or shove it inside the fins of your heatsink. And the documentation I found is a little bit lackluster. I wish it covered a little bit more than it did. It does specify the specifications, which is good. So you know how much power you can run through this. But I feel like it could do a little bit better job explaining things. And I just look, I was like, that almost looks like a SATA power connector, but no, it's 4-pin. Yeah, just kind of pictograms. Keeps it simple. That way there's no language barrier, but I feel like it could be a little bit confusing for people at the same time. And it shows kind of like the settings and stuff as well. So before I install this, I decided it might be actually kind of fun to pop it open and see what's inside, because this housing is just simply a clip together setup. And let's see here. Do this carefully so I don't break any clips. Looks like we got something holding me up on this end. Oh, there we go. And here's the control board. Now it looks like the main chip has been laser etched, so you're not going to be able to tell what it is. And wild. Yeah, they etched off the writing on that chip as well, but those other two, FL4953, and I can't tell. It's hard to get the right reflection on these things. The other one's a 480R, 480R, and the second line is 2004. But this is what the control board looks like. And this is, the remote is a wireless remote, because you can see the antenna right here, this weird squiggly line. So, yeah, I just thought that'd be cool to show real quick. Alright, so now everything's installed and set up, and power supply's on, but the computer is not. And if I hit the power button on the remote, it'll turn on the PC and the fans. And if I want to turn it off, I hit the power button again, and off it goes, which is pretty cool. But the other thing you can do is you can use to control the fans if they're hooked up to the box. So I'm going to change this to a different mode, and if I want to increase the fan speed, oops, there we go. I can make the fan speed go up and down. I can also control the brightness of the LEDs, make them really dim or make them really bright. And there are various modes you can run this in. I'm going to be using the temperature mode, and then the temperature of the PC will determine the color of the fans. But yeah, there's all sorts of modes. You can set your presets, you can control the ports individually. Pretty handy. And as of filming, this is on sale. Regular price is $70.99, but it's currently $47.99, which makes it a really good deal in my opinion, because it gives you the ability to run the fans RGB regardless of whether or not your motherboard supports it or not. So in my case, my motherboard has Aura RGB, which is not the same as ARGB, because ARGB stands for addressable RGB, and ARGB runs at 5 volts, unlike my motherboard's Aura RGB, which is 12 volts. And you can connect the fans directly to the motherboard if you don't want to use the box to control the fan speed. But I personally will be using the controller, because then it'll just give me easier access to the fans. because then I don't have to install third-party software or deal with BIOS settings. And that's really the nice thing about this box, is it's a standalone unit. It doesn't require any software, it's all hardware based. Now the only downfall is if you lose the remote, because then you're not going to be able to control the box in any way. But overall, I'd say it's good value. I especially like it, the idea of it being $47.99 on sale. I don't imagine you're going to be able to get anything cheaper that gives you the power control. And getting boxes that control the ARGB and fan speed can be hit or miss, just depending on the requirements. Where this one, literally the only requirement is you have power going to the box, which is this 4-pin Molex here. So either way, yeah, pretty happy with how it worked. Really, my only complaint is the power cable, and everything else is pretty good. So hopefully that was interesting, and thanks for watching.